So this keyboard and mouse over here costs roughly around $85. And this over here is what I have been using for the past 6+ months, probably getting to a year now. And that cost about $275. Have I made a massive mistake of spending more than 2.5 times the price of this combination? And has this been a bad investment as a creator? Let's talk. So then, what are we talking about? On the left over here, this is what I have been using as my main editing setup, and this is the Logitech Craft keyboard and the Logitech MX Master 3 mouse. And then on this side, we have something from the company called Rapoo, and there's a keyboard and a mouse combo. You can buy them separately, but as a combination, they cost roughly about $85. Now, on the surface, these two setups look very, very similar. First of all, you can connect to multiple devices at the same time, like have the mouse connected to, just by one press of a button, you can go from your desktop to your laptop to another laptop, or however you want to use them. There's one receiver that can connect both the keyboard and mouse. There's Bluetooth and 2.4G receiver connection options, and they're both wireless. And even the design is very similar. If you put two of the mice next to each other, you can see that the actual physical layout is very, very, very similar. But when we look at them in depth, you can see that the Logitech actually offers a few different things. First of all, there's actual software in here where you can configure different things and get updates, and it's much more user-friendly than this Rapoo side over here. Logitech has application-based customization of buttons. Logitech also has this magnetic graph feel that can configure to different applications to do different things. The scroll wheel on the Logitech is magnetic, and generally all the build quality and materials are much higher quality. But then for the last few weeks, I have been testing this Rapoo combination, this keyboard and mouse. One thing I do like about this keyboard is that the actual receiver has a place where to hold it. So if you unplug this in the back over there, there's two normal size batteries, so you can change them anytime you want, so it's not rechargeable, but the actual receiver goes in here. With Logitech, I always have this like problem that I don't know where to put the receiver. There's not an actual place to put it. But moving on to the Rapoo was quite hard because I have been using the Logitech mouse for like years now. I started with the MX1 and then the 1 broke, and then I went straight to 3 because the 3 was out by then, and I've been absolutely loving them. But now when I've moved on to the Rapoo, I've known about this company for quite a few years, and I've actually tried to reach out to them to test this because I saw that this was a much cheaper option, and I was curious if this is as good as the Logitech options. But finally they reached out and said, do you want to, test them out? And I said, yeah, because I have been curious for years. So then after a few weeks, here is my user experience with this Rapoo combination keyboard and mouse. First of all, the design looks very nice. It kind of looks like it's high quality materials, but when you compare them to the Logitech one, they're not quite as high quality. Even the keyboard and mouse, they're supposed to like feature like the same kind of design, but even the metal kind of feel is slightly different colors, so they don't quite match. I think they had separate lines of products and put them together just to kind of make it feel like this is a combination you can buy together, but they're completely different. In terms of the keyboard, I don't like it at all. I think the best thing about this is just the kind of minimalistic design, but even then, I don't know what the heck is this top bar over here. This takes up lots of space, and it could be easily just a smaller size over here, because this has no function over there. It could have easily been moved further down. But then the worst thing about this keyboard is the actual functionality and how it feels. The keyboard does not feel very good at all. It feels very, very cheap. If you bought any of like a cheap keyboard, wireless keyboard from Amazon, whatever, then it just very much feels like that. I could have really gone past that and really looked past, whatever how it feels. If it actually works well, it's all right. But just because how it's labeled the switches and things, so many times I actually miss the keyboard. For example, when you're Premiere Pro editing, I've got all my like keyboard shortcuts on this left side, and when pressing play, often it didn't start playing because the keyboard didn't manage to acknowledge the spacebar click. I am not a big fan of this keyboard at all. There is no signs to show you whether the num locks or caps locks are on and off either. There's no backlight keys, so it's very, very basic. But I think they're charging more for this than it's actually worth. Now moving on to the mouse, and the situation here is much better. The mouse kind of feels very, very much, I'd say like 6 out of 10 what it feels like, because the actual feel of the mouse, how it feels in your hands, is very similar to the Logitech. But when you really use them side by side, you know that Logitech has much more improved. This kind of line or this corner bit over here, it's much higher, which really digs into your hand inside there and makes it much more comfortable to use. And also the materials are kind of rubbery on the top, so your hand doesn't slide over as much and is kind of glued to the mouse, rather than this one. This kind of slides around inside your hand. But other than that, it's got the scroll wheel, you know, top scroll wheel and the side scroll wheel over here. But what I don't like is that the scroll wheels can't be adjusted the other way. And when you've used the Logitech, how those scroll wheels work, they are just so much better than this one. It's insane to like actually go back to Logitech and you're like, wow, this is much better. And another flaw over here on this is that the backwards and forwards button over here on the side of this mouse, I think they're in the wrong place. To press backwards and forwards with this finger is very bad. You should have been pressing backwards and forwards with your thumb because it's much faster. On the Logitech over here, they're literally just underneath your thumb sides over here, and it's much better and faster. It's just a much better place for backwards and forwards. This is just slower and in a weird place. Another thing I have found is just how Logitech works and how sharp all the movements are, and the tracking of the mouse never misses a beat. I see like no lagging or anything. It's just very smooth. Where this one, sometimes it was lagging and I had to like be very precise of my movements. Even when moving the DPI around, it just didn't feel as good. But then when we look at the price point, the Logitech costs more than 2.5 times the price of this combination. So when you're starting out, you're thinking maybe this is a good budget option to start with. And I'd kinda have to agree with you, but I'd really want you to consider this one thing. Has this Logitech purchase been a bad investment as a creator? Here's the thing. If you're a creator, the keyboard and mouse are the main tools that you will be using like 100% of the time you are working. And to have these tools as good as you can really will save you a lot of time in the long run. It makes your editing faster, more enjoyable. So investing in a good keyboard and mouse, I think, is a very good option as a creator. But I understand that when you're starting out and when you're a little bit on a budget, $300 for a mouse and a keyboard, well, almost $275, seems insane amount of money. Honestly, I didn't buy these together. In fact, this keyboard was given to me as a gift, and I only bought the mouse, and I've always wanted the craft keyboard, but I never really got it because it just felt too expensive. Now when I've got it, I wish I made the purchase before, because it just makes my workflow much faster. Even the Logitech like craft little wheel over here, this saves me so much time when I'm working on thumbnails, on Photoshop, the brush sizes. This is just like one of those things that will save me a lot of time in the long run. So which keyboard and mouse should you buy? I would say if you are on a budget, maybe the Rapoo mouse is actually quite a good option, you know, to get started for. But even at that point, for $50 or $70 or something like that, I'm thinking, why don't you just get something that's $15 or $20 that gets you very similar performance there and doesn't have the multi-connection buttons and options or features over here that you pay a lot extra for. I'd rather get something much more simpler, save the money to get one of those Logitech ones over here. I'm gonna leave both of these in the description below if you want to check them out as well. If you're on a budget, I'd recommend get something like for $15 or $25 or something like that. But check out this Rapoo as well. It might be on a massive deal, but I would personally get something like more like an Anchor or something like that that you can get for $15, $25. Even the ET or Eastern Technology, I'm using a mouse over there that's like $7 or something, and it works very great. And then in terms of the keyboard, I see a lot of creators buying the 60% keyboards, you know, the smaller size where you don't have the numpad and anything. But I think if you are a video editor, for example, this numpad is one of the best features you can have on a keyboard as well. Whenever we are editing, often we are using these numpads for our customization of shortcuts. All of the numbers over there are different labels of colors, so you can easily quickly label different sections of the video different colors without going right click on the mouse, label, and then moving there. It's going to save you a ton of time. Also, a full screen option obviously for us is this 0 over here on the numpad. Very easy to hit and you're not going to miss it. It's just much faster. Now you can configure any of those keyboard shortcuts yourself, but what I'm saying is this section is like an extra free keyboard shortcuts that you have, and it's not going to take that much more space. If you're wondering which keyboard to get, I'm personally just a big fan of Logitech. Logitech is not sponsoring this video or anything. I wish there was, because I would have saved a lot of money when buying these. The first keyboard I bought was about $20 or $19 or pounds from Amazon, a Logitech wired keyboard, and it's still running great. It's my second option for going this because the feel of the keyboard is very, very nice. It just feels high quality. It's not broken, so I'm gonna keep using it. So I recommend something like that. I'll try to find it and leave it a link in the description below. If they've discontinued that one, then I'll leave something else in the description below. But I think the Logitech Craft and the MX Master 3 mouse, they're just the best combination you can get. Wireless, the battery for this MX Master 3 like lasts, I don't know, a month. It charges really quickly, but I'm using this every single day for at least 8 hours, so it's fantastic battery life. The Logitech Craft one over here, I have found that the battery doesn't last very long on this one. Now, I'm not sure if this is just my particular faulty model, I don't know, but I have to charge this like once a week, maybe sometimes twice a week, but it could be a fault, I don't know, but it's past its like return window, so I don't know if this is that. It should be actually lasting much longer, but hey, that's just my experience. Also want to say that if you're not so bothered about this wheel over here, which actually costs quite a lot extra, I think $75 or even more extra just for this little wheel, there is just MX keys that is a little bit smaller over here without this top part over here, and then that's going to cost you much less, but it's literally the same keyboard without this wheel bit on the top, and that is roughly around $100 or so. I'm going to leave the links in the description below. Still the same feel, absolutely fantastic. It's got backlit keyboard, it's like smart as well. When you put your hands closer, it's got like proximity sensors over there, and the lights will come on automatically if you like that type of thing. It's very easy to switch between different like, you know, places as well. So I personally think these are like the best ones out there. I'd love to know from you though, what's your experience with keyboards and mice? I know a lot of people like the you know, mechanical keyboards. I've tried a few, but I don't know, I don't like it. I personally like the minimalistic, low profile keyboards from Logitech. I'd love to know from you, what is the best keyboard and mouse combination as a creator? Let me know in the comment section below. Likes if you enjoyed it, subs if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.